we we took that car out into the mountains, and I just drove it around without any headlights on.
This week on That Car Show, it's our friend Evan Lewis. From the wilds of Alaska to the manicured fairways of Florida, photographer and adventurer Evan Lewis sees the world from a unique perspective, sometimes from behind a lens, sometimes from behind the wheel, and sometimes from the cockpit. Evan joins us to talk about his GT3 RS obsession, why the Aston Martin DBX is the best SUV ever built, and yes, airplanes. We dig into his passion for photography, his love of Leica, the machines that inspire him, and the adventures that take him from Alaska to Florida and everywhere in between. It's photographer Evan Lewis, and it's That Car Show. Hey, it's That Car Show, and it is Car Week. And by the time you hear this, that's where I'll be, feeling very poor and probably a little hungover, but I don't care because after the Colorado Grand, Car Week is the car thing I look forward to each year. No, it is not Jump the Shark, even though our buddy Angela's Death Highways Car Week video is a masterpiece. In any case, I know I'll see a lot of you listening there, so please do say hello if you see me. I will have a pocket full of That Car Show stickers where all my cash used to be. And to be honest, we were just going to run a best of episode this week while we're in Monterey. But then I saw that we were doing really well on the automotive podcast charts, especially in India, of all places, and wanted to keep that streak going. So here we are. But this is going to be a good one with a really interesting guest. And it's just me today, too. So I first met photographer Evan Lewis in a parking lot, which is weirdly where I've met a lot of the folks we've had on the show. Evan was in his 991.2 GT3 RS, which I suppose is nothing unusual, except that Evan was in his early 20s at the time. He was holding a Leica camera, too, which is a combination you don't see every day, at least not in Evergreen, Colorado. And while I almost didn't approach him that day, I'm so glad I did because Evan has become a good friend, and he also might be the most talented automotive photographer I know. And that's saying a lot because I know a lot of automotive photographers. But Evan and I got to hang out a bit recently, getting some driving and some photography in. In any case, welcome to the show, Evan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to see you again, Ryan.
We were just talking before we hit record a few years ago at least, you did a couple of episodes of the Steering Committee, RIP. So, Evan, let's set the scene with your car credentials, because I think this is one of the things that sets you apart from a lot of car photographers. Specifically, you are a fan of the 991.2 GT3 RS. You've owned, I think, 3, or is it 4?
Three of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think most remarkably, you've put over 50,000 miles on them collectively, and you have not lost a cent. So what's the secret?
Ryan, I don't know that I know the secret. I just know that, it seems to be the trend that if you purchase pretty much just any modern, semi-modern Porsche, you just don't lose money on it. And yeah, I've kind of had ups and downs like over the last, couple of years as far as like the values of the cars, but for the most part, they've maintained their value. And then very recently, they've just continued to go absolutely insane. So I've been very fortunate to have been able to own a good, I guess 3 of them and put a lot of miles on them and at least break even or make money on them.
Yeah. And you've driven not just highway miles. You've taken these cars off pavement. I recently were in, I think, Utah, and you took a car off road. Yeah, not just the salt flats, but like you were kind of like overlanding it in this GT3 RS.
Yeah, I definitely have done some questionable things on the GT3 RS platform, but it's always for the cool photos. So
yeah.
Always trying to find new cool places to take pictures. But yeah, I mean, the car has been absolutely just rock solid. I mean, just from the first one that I owned, I lived in Florida at the time, and I would drive it to Virginia to see my family and drive on fun roads. Like, I think I did that 4 times in that car, which is like a 12-hour drive each way.
Wow.
And then the second one I owned, I had out in Colorado when I lived here, and did all the Colorado mountains, and that's when I met you. And then the most recent one, I take back and forth between Florida and Colorado. I ship it out there. I don't drive it, but it's been driven to Utah and all over Colorado. So yeah, they definitely get driven.
Your car is always clean too, so I'm not quite sure how you do it. But you're a lesson for the rest of us who sometimes are a little
Uh,
funny about, putting miles on cars. So
it's a car, and it's honestly one of the most robust cars I've ever owned. Despite it
it
being a
really is.
low sports car, it's really been reliable and fun to drive. So
Yeah, that thing is built like a vault. You let me drive it a few weeks back and traded
mhm.
keys with you in my GT4. And I love my GT4. I'm the biggest proponent of the
Oh yeah,
GT4 and the Cayman platform in the world. But getting into your car was like, leveled up, right? I mean, it just felt like that much better, that much more, which is cool. Are you a fan of the 992 GT3 RSs at all?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I got to drive one. I did a photo shoot of one of my friend's cars, and he let me kind of keep it for the day. Very fortunately, and
Yeah.
I got to
Yeah.
do some sporty driving in it as well as highway miles. And um, yeah, what do I think about it? I think that it's an incredibly capable car.
Yeah.
Just taking it through some corners, while of course my car feels incredibly stable and precise, somehow this car even feels more planted and more precise. Of course, you're really not going to get the benefits of the extra
Right.
aero, unless you're on the track. But yeah, I mean, they did a phenomenal job with that car. But at the same time, I think that the 991.2 GT3 RS, again, I'm completely biased here, but uh, it has a balance to it that the 992 doesn't have, right?
Mhm.
The 992 just went full on into the as close to race car as you can possibly make for the
Sure.
street. And there, in that, you're compromising the storage space. You don't have a front trunk anymore, so
Right. Right.
completely cuts down on your usability of the car for doing trips like Utah or something like that.
Sure.
And then I think that while it is an extreme design, I think that the 991.2 has a lot cleaner, more subtle lines. Still flies a little under the radar, which I like. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I've not driven one, but I just don't. I know that I don't want one. And
Yeah,
that's crazy. I take your 991.2 all day long, but to me, that's kind of, and maybe it's, the Porsches just, in general moving forward.
yeah,
I don't know. There's something about, there's certain generations of 911, right? Like 997, just great generation, especially the dot
right.
twos, right? The 991.2 is just great. The new one is, it's not just it's not just one jump. It feels like two or three jumps, and it's in a
Yeah,
direction I just don't know that's for me. So,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think from a ownership perspective, and the one thing that I've noticed on the 992 generation that's such a subtle little thing that I think most people don't really talk about that much, but I find like one of the aspects that takes away from the 992
Hmm.
is the transmissions in the cars. And the 992 obviously it shifts maybe faster. I mean, they're all lightning fast, but
Right,
it
right.
shifts faster. But the thing that like in my mind takes away from it is that it shifts smoother.
Yeah,
And of course, like, there's if you go from an E gear Lambo, Gallardo to, a newer Huracan, like, it's like,
yeah,
okay, I see where this is like beneficial to shift faster, although maybe you prefer the raw aspect of the E gear shift. Some people do,
right.
including myself.
Yeah,
But, obviously the PDK transmission and the GT cars from Porsche are incredibly fast. But the one thing I got and get in my car, like when I downshift, especially, is like there's this extra little like I don't know how to describe it, like kind of vibration or like you feel like the car's getting punched, when
right,
you down.
right,
It feels
right,
powerful.
right.
And then also when you upshift, sometimes the car rewards you with like a nice like pop out of the exhaust between
Yes, it
shifts.
does. Yeah.
And again, very subtle little things that just you know are there, but aren't there on the 992. The
Right.
992 and the Cayman GT4 RS, which I owned for a little bit,
Right.
were both very, very smooth shifting cars. So lightning fast, extremely responsive. As soon as you
Yeah.
click the button, you're in the gear, but just lack that extra little umph that makes that
Yeah.
shift
Yeah.
special. And I'm in my car. Yeah.
Well, and that's it, right? I mean, we're buying these cars for the experience, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I think your car, I think the Dot Two is just more. The 991.2 is just more of what I'm looking for. I just can't imagine, and I haven't driven one. I just can't imagine that the 992 GT3 RS is any more fun, and perhaps it's even less fun than, you know, it. You had that GT4 RS for not very long.
Yeah.
That's that seems to be a thing with those cars. I feel like people just don't hang on to them. Maybe the Spider RS is more, but the GT4 RSs, I feel like people keep them for 6 months and they're
No,
gone. Why is
I
that?
think I think there's different reasons. My reasoning for not keeping the car for very long wasn't like I think a lot of people complained initially, oh, it's too loud. Oh, it's
Mhm.
it's this or that. The car is incredible. I mean, I took that thing to the track. I did the fastest time I've done around High Plains Raceway in that car,
Yeah,
faster
yeah,
than the 991.2 GT3 RS.
yeah.
Um, and it was incredibly balanced. I felt super confident on, back roads and on the track in that car. Really had no bad habits. Um, but for me, I think, it was a car that I rode in for the first time in Alaska on a photo shoot, funny enough. And
Yeah.
I was
We'll
so
come back to
blown
Alaska
away.
too, but yeah.
Yeah, I was so blown away by the sound, like the
Mm,
induction noise that everybody talks about. I was like, this is
yeah,
different, and like it's hard to like have like a really different experience in a newer car these days. So I
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
try it, and the values were such that I could do so. With that car being less valuable than the GT3 RS.
Right.
So I went and bought one. I tried it. I drove the crap out of it. I think I owned it for what 4 or 5 months or something.
Was that
I put
long?
eight
Yeah.
thousand miles on it.
Oh,
I
I
drove
didn't
it.
realize you put so many miles on it.
I
Okay.
drove it to California and back. I mean,
Right on.
I
Okay.
track time, everything, and
Yeah.
yeah, great car. But I think just back down to like the transmission, and also like one thing I like about the GT3 platform and the 911 platform in general is like, yeah, the GT4 RS is more balanced and
Yeah.
more predictable, but again, not necessarily more fun, right? I
Right.
like that the GT3 RS has a little more edginess to it, and you have to know how to, control it a little better in the turns
Right.
to get the results
Right.
you want.
Right. Yeah, one of the things I did like about your GT4 RS was that it was a non-vice hack car, if I remember
Mhm,
correctly. And I like, there's something about the transformation to the RS on that car, which I think makes it less attractive.
mhm.
When you add the carbon, the exposed carbon hood and all the rest, it loses a little something for me. I like that car. It was because it was white, if I recall,
It
and it
was
just
white.
like almost like a body in white race car or something. It just
Mhm.
had that look. It was cool. But I'm with you. Yeah, I'd love to have one, and I know there's a price jump and all that, but I don't lust after one. I don't want to get rid of my standard GT4 for the
Right.
RS. I just have no desire. I think if I went that way, I might actually do the Spider RS.
Yeah.
It works better for me for some reason. I don't know why. And if
I
that car had a
think
manual, done, but
Oh,
that's an
yeah, totally. I would say now that they've had some time to settle down and the market's actually
yeah,
really saturated with them, I think that there is like a nice like price gap now between my
yeah,
car and that car because before it was like, oh, well, the GT4 RS is about the same price as the my generation GT3 RS. But now you can pick up a GT4 RS for like 185 or something like that.
which
And at that
is
point, it's a lot of money, but it's also significantly under, the price of a GT, even an
yeah,
1.2 GT3.
yeah.
So it's got its like, price point where I think it makes sense now.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's just my opinion.
And what's interesting about that too is you look on Bring a Trailer and the last two standard GT4s that sold. Now, granted, I think they were all very low miles, 3,000 miles or something, but I think
Mhm.
one sold for 160 and the other sold for 180 or 190. These were the standard GT4s. Now, again, good
Really?
colors, buckets, whatever. I mean, they
Sure.
were,
Yeah.
but they both originally had stickers, I think, of 120 or 130. So it's interesting to me that those seem to be coming up and the RSs seem to be coming down. I don't know why that is. And maybe they made more RSs. I don't know. I feel like I see them everywhere anymore. But it's an interesting, I think it's just an illustration of people buying at the end of the day what they really want, and that's
Mhm.
manual transmission and that. But
Right.
But your car, the 991.2 GT3 RS, I think will go down as one of the greats. It's just, yeah, it has it all because it has the looks, it has has the feels, right? It has,
Right.
and
Totally.
of course, it doesn't have a manual, but that a manual wouldn't really suit that car anyway, right? So that's,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I wish
yeah.
the GT4 RS had a manual. I think that car
I
would be
know, I
phenomenal with
know.
a manual.
I would
But
want that, and I predicted, and apparently I was wrong. I thought before they ended 718 production that they would sure as shit come out with a manual RS. I just thought
mm.
because they would sell every one, right? We keep hearing
Yeah,
about how
absolutely.
Porsche
Yeah.
is low on cash and everything else. I mean, there you go. Why wouldn't you have done that? They could have made them 500 grand, and I think people would have bought them. It's
Yeah,
just
it would have been the same thing as the 911 ST and all that
that's
other,
right. Yeah,
everybody, yeah, whatever they
yeah.
make, somebody's going to buy. So,
Well, and I think I told you this too, but I recently drove our friend Tom Horan's 911R, which I'd never driven. And this was a really great one. Black stripes on a non-metallic black body, had that brown
yeah,
interior with Pepita. It was just
that's my
stunning
spec.
car.
Love it.
It was the spec, right? And
Yeah,
it's got
that's
that
right.
lightweight, it had the lightweight flywheel option and stuff. And of course, was the RS engine of the era. So that would have been the 991.1 RS engine, I guess, which I don't know how that's different than your engine, but that's one of the best cars I think I've driven, and people seem to either love them or not hate them, but they're just kind of like, yeah, nothing special. There's something
Right.
special about that car, and I
Yeah.
think it was the combination of the RS engine with the manual. But I'll never be able to afford one, so it's a moot point. But it was a fantastic, fantastic car.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's awesome.
we both got to drive something else very special of our friend Tom
Yeah.
Horan's recently. You were out here in Colorado for a few weeks and said, hey, I'm going to be out. Do you know anyone that's got an interesting car? So I put you in touch with a few folks. But Tom has this car we've talked about a lot. It's an Alphaholics GTAR. Again, I've got this article coming out in Avance magazine in September on this thing. What do you think of that car? Because I think that is so different from a car like your GT3 RS. It kind of sneaks up on you, doesn't it? What'd you think?
Yeah. 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 Ryan was extremely generous and introduced me to some really fantastic people the last time I was here. Been trying to build a photography portfolio for a specific camera that I'm working with the Leica camera store in
Yeah,
Miami on
yeah.
doing a presentation on. And Ryan introduced me to Tom. And first off, what an awesome guy. I mean, just
Tom's the best.
so many amazing connections and what a just incredible collection of cars. But yeah, the Alphaholics is something that I was completely unfamiliar with before really
Is that
seeing it.
right?
And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I had, I'd heard you talk about it, but I really had no kind of idea, about what it was.
yeah.
So it was cool to learn some of the history and everything. But yeah, we did this photo shoot, and then at the end of the photo shoot, he's like, "Huh, you want to drive it?" And I was like, I won't say no to that opportunity, but it was definitely a little nerve wracking at first, but I wasn't going to pass it up. So,
Yeah.
and we were in a easy park to drive it
Yes, yes,
in.
yes.
And of course, immediately got it and installed it.
I I think I did the same thing. I
Yeah,
feel bad. It's a tricky car to
it
get to
is.
drive smoothly. Yeah.
It is tricky to drive smoothly, but it was it's like the epitome or like the pinnacle of like what a raw driving experience
Yeah.
is, right? I
Yeah.
mean, ultra lightweight. You got like a heavy, touchy throttle.
Right.
And then, there's the standard, I think it's a 5-speed transmission.
Yeah.
Everything about the car was mechanical.
Yeah.
Down to when you started it up and you hear, was it the flywheel or whatever that makes that
Yeah. Yeah.
metallic
Yeah.
zing
Yeah.
sound? I mean, it was just so
Sounds like
cool.
something's broken, but it also
Yeah,
sounds
it does.
amazing and cool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Um, but yeah, and yeah, I mean, driving that car took me, maybe 3 or 4 minutes of kind of shifting
Right.
the gears to get used to it. It was definitely very unlike other cars I've driven. But everything is, steering super tight and weighted correctly. The
Yep.
the throttle, I think the hard part of getting it into first and like, the reason I stalled it is because the throttle's got like an initial weight to it. So you got to kind of
Yeah.
like, you don't want to, I'm like definitely not trying to rev it too much,
Right.
and I just didn't rev it enough. So, But well, once I got the hang of it, it was pretty easy to drive. But yeah, the throttle response, the power, and everything was just like balanced, but in like a
Mhm.
super like race car
Yeah.
raw, like
Yeah.
really takes you back in time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think that most people don't have like a reference point for that car.
Right.
Um, but there's one car that when I drove it immediately popped into my head.
Hmm.
When I was learning to drive manual, I have this good friend back in Virginia. His name's James. He's got an incredible collection of cars, and he's got Countach, Mira, Ford GT,
Nice.
you name it. But one of the cars he has is a BMW 1600 Ti that has
Uh,
been race modified by Alpina. Uh,
wow.
Extremely rare car.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got to work on it with him, and you rebuilt the engine, and uh,
Cool.
got the thing driving again. And then that was pretty much the car that he decided to
Yeah.
teach me manual on.
That's incredible.
Um, so it's just, I mean, really cool experience. But yeah, that's my closest reference because
Yeah. Yeah.
when you get on the throttle, it has that instant kind of like punchy, feel to it. It has that same kind of like, raw, like kind of whirring. I don't know how to describe it,
Right.
but, I mean, the Alphaholics was like the steering felt way better and everything else. But it was cool to like kind of see that era of car and then compare it to the
Right.
Alpha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the stuff you picked up on is really right on point. I talked about this before. I struggled just getting my foot to fit in the pedal box. I don't know if that's
Mm.
the air conditioning unit or whatever that hangs down below. If that wasn't there, it'd be a lot easier. But
Yeah.
then, the arc of the pedal is tricky, and then you compound
Yeah.
it with it. It is heavy. Yeah, but it's a satisfying car to drive, and
Oh yeah.
you know. It's one of those cars you look at it and you wouldn't think it's what it's worth. And then you realize, it's got all these carbon fiber parts and titanium suspension bits and everything. An exceedingly rare car. I mean, I'll probably never have a chance to drive another one ever. And so I'm so
Right.
glad, you got to drive one. And Tom's been so generous, with his fleet. So many of the cool cars I've gotten to drive for the past few years, have his name on the title. So, thank you, Tom. Yeah, he's a great guy, a good friend, has had some amazing cars come
Yeah.
through. It's,
Hey,
you know, go ahead.
oh,
Yes.
they make like what, two of those a year? I think he said they were on number
Yeah. Something like
31
that.
ever. Like
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty special. And of course, the argument is, would you rather do one of those or like an Emery car, right? Like an Emery 356, an Outlaw.
Right.
And I think because he also owns one of those and he's been, gracious in letting me drive it. I think personally, I'm in Camp Emery.
Okay.
I know Dan McGinnis, our buddies listening. He's firmly in Camp Alphaholics. I don't know. I
Hmm.
think I need to spend more time like you. I was behind the wheel for, 30 or 40 minutes or something. And he's sitting next to me. I'm going to be very, very careful. You get in that car and realize there are no side mirrors.
Right.
So you're merging onto the highway or whatever, and you gotta, crank your head around. A real rewarding car. One of the things I didn't do when I drove it, again, trying to be careful, I didn't rev it to redline. And that's one of those cars that just keeps building to redline. And then Tom gets in
Mm.
it and that, he's giving it that last 1,000 RPM and then the car really, really came alive. But, special
Yeah.
thing. Just a cool thing. So another cool car that you've driven, because you bought the thing, is a car I've not spent any time with. It's a car you hardly ever see. It's your daily, exceedingly rare, I think, at least on US shores, but the, Aston Martin DBX. This is the SUV, if you want to call it that, of the Aston, Martin lineup. What
Yeah.
drove you to this?
Yeah.
Curious.
So I worked at the Lamborghini Sarasota dealership for a while. I got to drive a lot of cool cars. I got to drive a lot of Uruses, which right is like one of the competing cars.
Yeah.
And then one day, I guess somebody who had worked at the Aston Martin dealership brought over their like brand new demo, Aston Martin DBX,
Mhm.
and I got to do a short drive in it. And ever since then, I was like, that is the best SUV I've ever driven.
Really?
And
Like
yeah,
the
and
best SUV ever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
um, Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I know it's not the Urus. I know it's not the
right.
Urus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, okay. I mean, obviously, best is very subjective, right? So, like, what's the best about it?
Right.
It's the SUV that feels the most like a sports car that I've ever
Okay.
driven.
Sure.
Um, so, obviously, we have the Porsches, we have the Lamborghini, you have the Bentley.
Right.
Um, but the Aston Martin well, anyway, it kind of initially like shocked me a little bit. I was like, wow, this thing really feels like I'm driving, a car that's a lot
Yeah.
smaller than it actually is.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I've wanted one. And of course, knew those cars were 180, $200,000. Um, and thanks to British car depreciation, I was able to find one, a 2021 model, for 84,000,
Really?
uh,
Okay.
which was, less than half the original MSRP of the
Right.
car.
Right. It's a lot of car.
Um, so I was like, well, I've always loved this car. I want something that's like more practical. Cause I have a Golf GTI that I kind of will throw my camera equipment in and stuff, but
Sure.
it fills up really quick. And, sometimes wish I had more space. And, uh, of course, the Aston Martin DBX is not necessarily the necessary solution, but
Yeah, it is.
sure. But it was something where it was like, well, this car is incredibly unique. They're rare. I think it has the best lines of any big. Again, I'm very
Yeah.
subjective here, but I think it has the best lines of any large SUV out there.
Yep.
And I just started doing search. I started searching one day. I found one, you know, 100 miles from me in Orlando, and I went to go check it out. And uh, what I had remembered about it was true, and ended up, driving it back.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess, I mean, I'll start by just touching on like what I mean by it really drives like a sports car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the car has a lot of different personalities to it. So if you just want to drive it like a normal daily driver, you certainly can. You just put it in,
Mhm.
I mean, you just have it in the normal GT mode, and it's quiet. It's very comfortable. You got heated, cooled seats in the front and rear. Everything's covered in leather, and it's still a super luxurious car. From a like modern standpoint, it does lack a little bit because it's an old
Yeah.
Mercedes
Yeah.
AMI.
Ah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which
Yeah. That was a certain era.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
which is
Infotainment.
silly for 2021. No
Yeah.
CarPlay, no nothing. But
Okay.
that's never bothered me. I never
Sure.
use CarPlay in the Porsches, so it's like
Yeah.
one of those things. But one thing I do like is physical buttons and switches, and
Right.
I mean it's got that. So, um, but so anyway, you have the GT mode where it drives like normal. You could put it in terrain mode, and you would be shocked by how much clearance this thing gets.
Really?
Like it's
Because they're
got
pretty
hydraulic.
hunkered down in standard mode. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like super low, but you put it in like terrain plus. I mean, it looks like it lifts up 6 inches. I mean, you get
Really?
like a ton of clearance.
Huh.
Um, and then vice versa, if you put it in sport or sport plus, it lowers
Okay.
down even more, and you
Right.
get the exhaust open. And yeah, it's I think the engine note. So it's powered by a Mercedes twin turbo V8 and transmission. So
So
same.
same thing that's in an AMG GT. Is that?
Yeah, pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, as
Yeah.
far as I
Wow.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 550 horsepower. And I like those AMG V8s. They
Yeah. I do
sound
too.
good. I think they sound
Yeah.
better than the Audi V8s.
Yep.
And they're very responsive. I mean, it's very,
Mhm.
very lively turbo engine. Like you get on an Urus, yeah, it's faster than the DBX, but it just feels like that car just feels more sloppy. Like there's more body roll. You feel the
Interesting.
front end kind
Yeah.
of lift up, and um, whereas you get on the Aston Martin, it's very linear. Turbo, kicks in very quickly. And
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody is like, oh yeah, it's like it feels like a naturally aspirated car. No, I mean it doesn't. It feels like a turbo V8, but
Right. Right.
it feels like the best a turbo V8 can be. Put it that way.
Yeah. 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 And there aren't
Uh,
too many of those around anymore, right? As of 2026, right? So many
yeah.
things have gone to sixes or fours, whatever. So
hmm
yeah.
But I think the most like impressive part about the car is the handling. When you put it in
Interesting.
Sport Plus, which it limits the, takes a little bit of the traction control away and stuff like that. I have I've driven a lot of big cars. I've driven a few big cars quickly,
Mhm.
especially the Audis and stuff. And
Yeah.
if you push one of those the cars too hard in a turn, you get understeer. It's like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you expect with a big heavy car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow, Aston Martin has figured out how to make this thing tail happy. Like
Yeah.
I have gotten on it in a couple turns and just slowly, like progressively gotten on the power getting out of the turn and ended up needing to do like a half wheel like correction,
Really.
like,
Really.
yeah, to actually get the nose to point straight. Like it is surprisingly tail happy for a massive car.
Yeah.
And that just makes it super fun to drive and
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and it's, I mean, yeah, I know.
I think they look great. I don't know if there's really any particular criticism, levied toward them when they were new by the journalists or what have you. I just, at 81 grand, that's so much car. I mean, that's not nothing, but I mean, that's so much car for the money. I mean, I don't know if do you remember the Aston Martin Signet? This was the car that was built on the Toyota. It was I think it had to do with fuel economy,
Oh
regulate.
yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they were pushing these things. I don't know what they cost at the time, but basically you were getting, it was like the Toyota IQ, or it was like this little square stance, I don't know, think of a smart car type vehicle. And then Aston Martin very famously,
Mhm.
built one or outfitted one to Aston Martin standards. But I've seen a couple of good ones for sale. And I want to say they were shockingly close to what you paid for
Really?
for the SUV. I'll have to, someone check me on that. But, I think those are 3-cylinders. I think they made one with like a V8. I think they made one. But the point is, I think that car is probably only going to go up over time too, because people are going to realize what a wonderful and kind of what a novel thing, that it
Mhm.
is. Right. And that engine, I mean, I think that gives people some solace too, that's a
Yeah.
pretty rock solid engine, if I recall, pretty bulletproof. I've driven them in the big Mercedes cars, the GT and whatever the four-door GT is. What do they call that? Is it just the GT sedan? I don't know,
Oh,
but that's a
GT,
hell of a power
GT3.
plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Oh,
just
absolutely.
goes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I liken those cars, especially the sedan, to like the world's best like Charger, right? Where it's like engine forward, right?
Right.
Power forward, and everything else kind of follows. But
Mhm.
no, that's cool. I just it's not every day you meet someone with a DBX, so let's talk to them. So I wanted to,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Now I'm kind of into those. I've been going down the DBX rabbit hole. Might
Yeah.
want one of those.
Yeah, yeah. I
Someday.
mean, so far
Cool.
so good. Just come
Uh,
to Florida and test drive it,
yeah, I need to do that.
So
I need to do that. So, speaking of Florida, have you ever done Amelia in Florida?
I haven't done any of like the major car gatherings.
So no car
Um,
week either, huh?
no, no.
Yeah,
It's one of those things like I, it would be fun to go. I would enjoy it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I also, I'm just very into like the more the driver's scene, out in the
yeah,
mountains driving
yeah.
and getting together with friends. And I love seeing all the cool cars, but uh, and I'm sure, obviously I see all the incredible pictures that get taken at
Sure.
Amelia. But it's never like a priority for some
Yeah,
reason. I think
yeah,
it's just, I mean, I think, I love seeing the cars on the street. If I see somebody
yeah.
driving their Veyron or whatever, down the road,
Right,
that's
right.
the thing. But
Yeah.
to see them all in one place, I don't know. Yeah, maybe just it's not the same for me as it is for other
Well,
people.
you're quite a bit younger than I am, and it took me till I was 48 to go. I'm a fan, but like I said in the intro, it's still not as good as the Grand, and the reason why is because you get to see those cars in motion, you get to hear
Yeah.
them and smell them, and not really touch them, at least not without the owner's permission. But
Yeah.
and then those cars all have these amazing stories too, and you don't necessarily pick up on that just seeing them static somewhere. But that said, we'll get you out there. We'll break you down. It's
Oh, I mean, I'd love to go for
it's
sure.
it's overwhelming in all the best ways. And then the first time you go, I mean, there's nothing like that first time. It's just it's like a hit, it's like you've injected something into your veins where there's just so much everywhere all the time. And the people you see, you just don't know who you're going to sit down next to at lunch or whatever. It's fantastic. That
Yeah.
said, I've got to leave in 36 hours and I have so much to do. car week. It's just, it happens every time. But you should get
Uh-huh.
out, if nothing else, for the photography. And I guess that pivots us into why you're really here. Now that we've sort of set your enthusiast credentials in stone, you very well may be the best car photographer that I know. And I say that sincerely. When I see one of your photos, Evan, I know, immediately that it's one of yours. So very curious. You shoot on Leica. You mentioned Leica. Leica
Uh-huh.
is like, if Leica were a car brand, where would you put Leica? Or where would you put
Oh,
Leica's photos?
they would be like, I guess, I mean, if you want to be specific, maybe like a singer or something like that, like
Yeah,
in a way, because
yeah, yeah.
or just Porsche in general. I think
Sure.
they go hand in hand, because they're a brand that is very historically significant. They've been
Right.
around for a very long time. They were pioneers of the 35 millimeter film camera, and um, and they're known for making these precision mechanical cameras, um, at a quality that's, at least from a lens perspective, that's pretty much
Mhm.
unmatched, in the photography world. Uh, so yeah, I think that, Porsche or Singer would be a good comparison depending on which
Yeah,
light.
yeah, 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 yeah. And why Leica? You just mesh better with the brand. The
Well,
usability, the cool, the inherent like sort of cool of the brand. What's
sure. Well, like anything in my life, any connection that I've made, it's usually because of cars, and
yeah.
I had just driven my Audi R8 at the time down to the Revs collection in Naples.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're great.
Never heard of it. It's an incredible collection. They've got
Yeah,
historical, Porsche 917K. They've got, you know, McLaren F1, you name it. But I got introduced to this guy named Josh down there, and he happened to be the manager of the Leica store in Miami, and instantly just hit it off talking about cars, and ended up uh, getting hands on one of his cameras and got to play with it at the event. And he invited me down to Miami and got to basically just get my hands on a bunch of cameras and play with
yeah.
them, and just kind of fell in love with them at that point. And that was around the time I was graduating from college. I'd been shooting on Canon before that, so
Okay. Yeah,
um, yeah, it was like the next step, and
yeah,
it was really cool because the cool thing about Leica, that I think the coolest part for me, is that Leica, likes to, like kind of Porsche, like bring back
yeah.
these old, like mechanical, um, you know, lenses and cameras, right? So,
Right, right.
I run like some vintage Leica glass on my modern,
Ah,
camera, and it's really cool, the effects that you can get out of the lenses
yeah,
on it. So,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
And when I see one of your photos, again, like I said, I know it's yours. So what's your process? You shoot on like, I know there's some
mhm.
processing involved.
Yeah.
But I think that's, because anyone can go and buy like a camera, right? Everyone's a
Mhm.
designer, everyone's a photographer, whatever. And so I think you really have to differentiate yourself with a unique style. So I can't quite put my finger on it, but again, when I
Mhm.
see one of your photos, I know that it's yours. So take me through your process if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that my process is like inherently because I shoot on a Leica, right? Um, I spent time in college, growing my, photography techniques.
Right.
Um, but essentially, well, let me think about this. It's like one thing to like do the process, another thing to like think
Well,
through it.
you shoot all digital,
Um,
right?
yeah, shoot all digital.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I've like through the years kind of like taken the perspective of not just like, okay, let's like look at the car from the outside. Like, I want to like kind of make, whenever I photograph a car, I try to like make a series that kind of gives the viewer like an idea of the experience of
Mm,
being around the car, and what's it like to interact with it. So, um, you know, I usually start with a few kind of like regular, or not regular, but images of the exterior of the car. And one thing that I developed as a skill early on in my photography process is artificial lighting.
mm,
Initially through like long exposure photography, so doing what's called light paintings, which,
sure.
without an example, it's hard to describe. But essentially, um, doing these longer, you're capturing images over a longer period of time, putting light on the car to kind of bring it out of the background of the image
Mhm.
and create this really unique, look essentially.
Yeah.
And then from there, later in college, I started playing with strobe photography, which is, essentially the same thing as when, a portrait photographer brings a flash to a portrait photo shoot, except for
Okay.
I use like a giant, you know,
Yeah.
giant flash to light up the car. And this pretty much gives me like full independent control over the lighting of the vehicle in any given
Yeah.
scene because I can overpower the sunlight. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, it's
Wait,
that bright.
really?
Like, if you point it at somebody and fire the flash, it's like a flashbang. I mean,
Okay.
you go
Okay.
blind.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
Wow.
but yeah, so but it allows me to control, the lighting of the car and the scene,
Sure.
and so I use that to kind of try to show off the lines of the car to my best ability. Like,
Yeah.
so I basically will find the best angle for the car that I think is, like, and that just comes down to judgment. Like, what do I think are the best lines on this particular vehicle?
Right.
And then I'll, use a tripod, put the camera on a tripod and move the light around the vehicle, take a bunch of pictures in the same, the camera is oriented in the same spot. So then I can go in and then post production, stitch these images together and essentially create any kind of lighting that I want on the vehicle,
Okay.
which layered all together just kind of results in this beautifully lit image of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think, one of your signatures is the lighting
Mhm.
is so incredible. I
Yeah.
guess I never really thought about how you accomplished it, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You do this in Photoshop once, what do you
Yeah.
quickly
Yeah.
you get the photos together?
Most of the production is done in Photoshop. I'll layer the images together and they kind of go together like a puzzle piece, or
Yeah.
puzzle pieces where I don't necessarily know how they're going to fit together at the beginning.
Right.
But once I play around with the layers and bring some light into the image on, one layer or take away on another layer, it all kind of just comes together. And
Yeah.
I think, that process just comes from having done that thousands of times.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then after that, I do a bit of like color grading, post processing, and some
Okay. Okay.
plugins for Photoshop that make that easier.
I see.
And I generally try to apply kind of a more like film look to the images, so it's still a modern look, but it combines that modern look with um, I guess like this kind of more nostalgic feel. And I think that's maybe one of the things that's like hard to put hard to like see it and know what's
Yeah.
happening, but like it kind of really just adds to the feel of the image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you really enjoyed shooting, and what maybe are you still looking to shoot car wise?
Oh, good question. Um,
Because
I've
we'll
had
make it
some,
happen. We know people.
yeah. I know you will. Based on this last trip, I have no doubt in my mind. Um, No, I mean, honestly, one of my favorite photo shoots of all time recently, I can show you here.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got a
Please.
picture of this Aston Martin,
Oh yeah. That's
Valhalla that
good.
I just did, and that was one of my favorites. I did that at
Wow.
the, airport in St. Petersburg. Incredible car. I did a long exposure for the taillights and then strobe lit the vehicle.
That's cool. That's
Um, so that's like one of my all-time favorites, just such a beautiful location and to
yeah.
sometimes you envision a photograph and it doesn't
Yeah.
come out, how you envisioned it. And sometimes you envision a photograph and it comes out better than you envisioned it. And that
Yeah.
was that case.
That's cool.
So I just get really excited when I like have an idea in my head for a shot and then it comes out better than what I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anticipated. But I also do a lot of, I like implementing, aviation into my photos as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to get to that because
sure.
I think airplanes might even be more photogenic than
Mhm.
cars, at least the ones you work with. Like, so think old warbirds, think these amphibious planes that get flown around,
Uh-huh.
island to island, and the frontier, of Alaska and this kind of thing. So how'd that all come to be? And because I mean, God, you've been some places in some amazing planes. It's just like
Yeah,
open planes and experiences that most of us will never have.
sure. Yeah, well, that all started when I just decided like 1 year after college, like I need to go see some of the country, and I've always wanted to go
Mm,
to Alaska.
mm,
So I ended up just kind of booking a flight, and it was around the time of COVID, so flights were super cheap, and
sure.
I just went up there, rented a car, and drove around, and then had like a very loose connection with a pilot up there. He took me up flying, and I have some aviation background. I took flying
Right.
lessons when I was younger, and
Right.
but anyway, he took me up flying. I did a bunch of photos, and he took me up flying, and he rented this plane from this flight school, and he's friends with the owner of that flight
Mm,
school. So I took a bunch of pictures, and then he was like, "Oh, I got to show these to the owner of the flight school." And so he ended up showing him the pictures that I had taken from that Cessna 172, small little, tiny little plane
okay.
we were
Yeah.
in. And he was, I guess, impressed enough that he was like, "Well, we need to go take some pictures of my, you know, flight school planes."
Wow.
And because it's Alaska, you don't just have standard flight school planes. You have a couple like
I bet.
backcountry, big tire, like off airport. What are most commonly used up there is Piper Super Cub.
Okay.
So the next day, we're taking 3 planes out. I'm doing air-to-air photography of 2 of
Okay.
those planes flying in formation. We, went over and landed in front of this magnificent glacier, and ever since I had that experience, I was like just, hooked. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I just took every opportunity I could to come up there and fly with them, and create a portfolio of aviation images, which then eventually led me to, you know, gather other connections in the aviation space and
Yeah.
doing that. That's that's led me. I mean, that's brought me to places that, like, I mean, in some cases, nobody else has ever been.
It's incredible.
In Alaska, it's just such a vast, incredible place to explore, and the only way to do it is in a plane. So, and then that's also given me the opportunity to combine aviation with car photography. So,
Right.
if you go on my Instagram, you'll see, I think the top row of my pinned posts is all cars and planes. So
Yeah. Yeah. What's your
Mhm.
Instagram before I forget? It's
Yeah, it's evanlewis.expedition.
yeah, it's a
So
great follow. It's a great.
yeah.
You do these, especially with the airplanes. I always think of you of like, God, if you were born 2 generations ago, like the prime of like National Geographic, right? Your shots would be on the cover, right? Of every month because they have that look like where there's this sense of adventure, there's this sense of danger, right? I mean, to your point, you're going to places that maybe have never been, photographed. You've got this great style of shooting these like bright yellow or bright red planes against like the glaciers and the open ocean. It's really phenomenal. I think you play around a lot with depth, right?
Mhm.
It's just yeah, just awesome stuff. So definitely check out Evan's Instagram. It's a great follow, and it's also just fun to watch to see where you're off to next. I've never been to Alaska. It's definitely on my short list too. But inspired in large part by those photos. Although I know a lot of those places. I mean, you're not in Anchorage. You're doing this stuff. I mean, you
Yeah.
are like out there, like in places where you can only fly into, right? I mean, these
Yeah.
lodges, these beaches. It's pretty great. So you've done all this amazing stuff. I mean, what's next? Like, is there a place on this planet that you really want to see and shoot next?
Yeah. I definitely, like, I think my next priority is to start doing some stuff in other countries.
Yeah,
I s- road tripped and explored a lot of North America.
yeah,
And so, yeah, and I want to expand my photography to Europe, and
yeah.
I think, one of my big bucket list places is Norway.
Mm,
So like maybe I'll go there soon, but
very cool.
um,
Yeah,
yeah, but always looking for just new connections in the aviation and automotive space. You had asked me, what I want to
oh yeah,
shoot
yeah,
next.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, anybody out there with any hypercar, I want to add it to my portfolio. Um, uh, but at the same time, like for me, what makes a photo shoot special is not it's not just like the car, right?
Yeah,
It's the experience that's going on. So like one of the gentlemen that you introduced me to on this last trip was Blake.
yeah, he's great.
Amazing guy, and he, I waved at him in traffic. I gave him a thumbs up. He waved back. I called
Yeah.
you and I was like, who's this guy? And you connected with me with him. And the next day, he's taking his like literally one of one, 993 custom, amazing car. And we're just
Yeah.
like ripping up in the mountains together. And like I asked, like, could we go up to Mount Blue Sky, which is the highest elevation road in the US?
Yeah.
And which, again, it's not like a smooth road. It's not like probably the best place for like a naturally aspirated 993 Porsche to be.
Right. Right.
Um, but he was like just super down to make it happen. And it's people like that and locations like that that
Yeah.
really like make it special, right? It like tells more of
Yeah.
a story than just a picture of the car in a parking lot or
Right.
parking
Right.
garage or wherever. So
Right.
yeah, always just kind of pushing
Yeah.
for the next cool car in the next insane like special location.
Yeah, yeah,
Is a
yeah.
lot of fun.
I got a sneak peek of those. They're fantastic. We're so lucky here. I know it's one of the reasons you keep a car here and you travel back from Florida all the time. It's one of the reasons I moved to Colorado from Chicago. It's because of these damn roads and these locations. And I've been here long enough now where I start to take it for granted a little bit. But you
Mhm.
mentioned Mount Blue Sky, and yeah, that stretch you were on was that final stretch to sort of the top of the mountain, which is not a great road. Some precipitous drop offs. I think
Mhm.
if I recall correctly, a lot of potholes and other things. But
Yeah.
the road to get to that road is, I think, one of the best driving roads in the country. We've talked about it a lot. Used to call it Squaw Pass. I don't know if it's still called Squaw Pass. There's a more PC
Mhm.
name, but it's just these are the roads we get to drive. Like this is what's there. Do that in Chicago. Do that in Florida, right? I mean, we're just so
Yeah.
spoiled. And to your point of adding to
Yeah.
the story of the photo, right? Goes a long way. We've got a pretty good here in Colorado, but yeah, that car of Blake's, it's called the Meissen Project, and the Meissen Project has
Mhm.
its own Instagram account, and it's this beautiful Meissen blue 993 that when you saw it, you weren't quite sure what it is because it isn't a Singer, it isn't
Yeah.
a Roof, it isn't a Gunther Works or it's its own thing. It's really, really, really special, really cool. And
Yeah.
it just, I think it photographs particularly well, too, especially with you behind the camera. So yeah, amazing
Oh,
work. And
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Well, now we've set the bar high. So now the next time you're in Colorado, we've got to find 3 more people, but I already have some folks in
Yeah.
mind, and we got to get you out sometime to shoot some of the grand cars too. We have a wonderful grand photographer,
Yeah.
obviously, but it'd be fun for you to, at least meet up with us for a day too and see some of these cars in motion. I know I sound
Yeah.
like a shill for the grand, but I am. I mean, it's the best car thing ever, and some of the cars we have this year are just incredible, Like I told you, 4 D types, 4 Jaguar D types, and a C type
It's
or
unreal.
2 and a 550, Spider Porsche. And I mean, it's just, come on, I mean, there's some people out there living their very best lives and they're doing it each week,
For sure.
of the grand, but
Yeah.
in any case, so what do you have going on next? Where are you headed next?
Well, tomorrow morning I've got a fun photo shoot.
Yeah.
I'm actually, yeah, so one of my friends, his name's Corey. He's uh, introducing a golfing brand where he's going to be making automotive themed golf clubs and um,
Oh, wow.
ball markers and all these
Oh,
things.
cool.
So
Cool.
I, I I can't remember the name of it right now, but I'll
Sure. No,
have to
that's
let you
okay.
know.
Yeah. We'll dub
But
it in later.
anyway, we're doing a product feature for his new products, and he asked me if I knew anybody with cool cars.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I know a couple people.
Some people.
Um, but uh, anyway, so I reached out to one of my good friends, and he's an older gentleman. He's got
Mhm.
an incredible collection of cars, and initially had an incredible collection of Ferraris, which, funny enough, based on, well, kind of recent events, but also just I think maybe I encouraged him a little bit. Now he's got an
Yeah.
incredible collection of Porsches.
Nice.
um,
You always
and
come back around to Porsche. I mean, it's just,
well, you
the
do,
thing.
and
Yeah.
just for any Ferrari owners out there listening, he is Ferrari obsessed. He's got
Yeah.
he's had pretty much every, model of the regular ones,
Sure.
488 Pista. He's got a Speciale 458 Speciale Aperta, 488 F8, all the major ones. And then he started buying Porsches. So I kept
Yeah.
my GT3 RS in his garage because it's nearby my place and it's a nice place to keep it.
Yeah.
Last year, and I think he got so many compliments on the car in his garage that he got jealous. So he went and got himself a 992 GT3 RS.
Nice.
So, and then following that, he got a Carrera T, or
Okay.
a Targa manual.
Okay. Cool.
He has like 2 Cayennes that he daily
Nice.
drives, and
they start every time.
Yeah. And then recently he got a 992.2 GT3 with a manual transmission.
Oh, nice.
And I kind of like reached out and I was like, hey, this would be like the perfect car for this golf photo shoot because we're going out to Streamsong, which is a very kind of prestigious golf resort in the middle of Central Florida. And I asked him, I was like, hey, would you mind bringing this car out to this photo shoot? Because I think it's brand new. It would complement the brand really well. And he was like, yeah, just let me know when you want it. Take the keys and drive it out there. Okay. So I'm very excited to get to experience that car.
For sure.
Drive it out there tomorrow morning. But anyway, so that photo shoot tomorrow is going to be really, really cool. I'm going to have my friend drive the Aston Martin out because I feel like that's kind of like the, practical golf car, if you will.
Totally.
Yeah. And then I'll take the GT3 out there and it'll be cool to experience that. And got a couple models and it'd be a fun time. So that's kind of
nice
thing.
Are you still shooting for the Night Vision company?
I do some work for them here and there. Yeah.
Now I still tell people about the time you came for a visit and you had this big like S-Class Mercedes, like an older one, right? So you already, it's like you're a Cold War spy, and then you pull up, you open the trunk, and in the trunk, like Pelican cases full of the most sophisticated night vision stuff I've ever seen. Like it was a moment for sure. That stuff was amazingly good.
Oh, it's incredible. It's so fun. And cool. If you've never tried night vision before, it's like one of those things where you're like, you think like, oh, that's like cool. I've tried that in like video games or whatever. But when you actually try the real stuff in real life, it's remarkable. I think also on that same trip, I think I went with like Oliver and maybe Dominic and, a couple of our friends. And we took that car out into the mountains and I just drove it around without any headlights on. I turned them on when there was traffic coming around the corner, but otherwise had them off and drove like perfectly fine without any lights on.
Lest the listeners worry, I guarantee you were seeing better through that night vision stuff than you would have with the headlights on that Mercedes.
It's true. You can see farther down the road than the headlights. I mean, if there's a deer like half a mile down the road, you'll see it long before you will with the headlights. So
it's crazy. Like when you see that stuff and you hold that stuff, there's like this inherent sense of responsibility. Like a man could get into a lot of trouble with this stuff. And it's like it's like I had no idea, to your point, of just the level that the tech had gotten to. But so cool. It was just you felt like you were, I don't know, some sort of spy walking around the neighborhood. It was pretty amazing. So that's you shoot for a wheel company too. That's another client of yours, right? That does aftermarket wheels. Anyone else you want to plug?
Wheels. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I got OE wheels that I'm shooting for on Wednesday. So they're great. So
nice.
And then I'll be back out there in Colorado towards the end of the month. So
I look forward to doing some more driving then. So, all right. Well, it's an hour. I probably should let you go, but it's been a fun conversation. Like it always is. Appreciate your friendship and you doing this. And we should plug your website and your Instagram again. Website is
Aerial, Aerial, because apparently I found out like it's hard to spell Ariel apparently. Aerial.
It is. I tried to type in my notes and it corrected me.
Aerialautomotive.com is my
Right on.
photography website. And then, yeah, just my main Instagram is evanlewis.expedition. So those are the two best ways to see some of my work.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're a great follow. And I'd like to give a couple of other plugs too for the show. As we head into Car Week, we had a couple of really wonderful guests recently who are very much Car Week adjacent. In fact, one of them runs Pebble. That's Vince Finaldi. He's the new Pebble Beach Concours president. That was a really fun one. Make sure you check that out if you haven't. And also Mecum Auctions, Chief Operating Officer Sam Murtaugh. I'm looking forward to running into both of those gentlemen in Monterey, but particularly good episodes. And especially if you're headed to Monterey, need something to listen to, please do check out those 2 episodes and give us a follow if you think of it, and give us a rating and a review if you've got time too. That's the stuff that puts us on the charts and will put us higher the charts in the US, not just India, although we appreciate that placement very much too. So Evan Lewis, always a pleasure to talk with you again. Look forward to seeing you the next time you're in Colorado, doing some driving with you. Hope to have you back on again soon as well.
Yeah, likewise. It's been great. Thanks so much for having me, and definitely looking forward to it.
Thank you. Well, this has been That Car Show. Remember, always be driving. And until next time, thanks a lot, Evan.